ways that you can find how you can survive despite the climate of Nigeria and what's happening in the economy and politically, right? So if we can focus on the things we can control rather than pay all the attention and all the worries on the things we cannot control, those are ways that you can reduce your anxiety. When you have a strategy in place on how to navigate a particular situation, you will find that you are not overly anxious about that situation because you have a strategy, you have a plan. And then we can just always hope for the best. We can just always hope for the best. We're not going to get anything out of conflict or waging wars because we have different opinions. That's
because you know that.
Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. So for today we are talking about anxiety, which is the theme for Mental Health Awareness Month this year 2023. And I definitely want to discuss like anxiety, how to deal, coping mechanisms, strategies for dealing with anxiety, because as you know, I'm passionate about mental health. I definitely feel as though I've gone through anxiety different stages of my life, but only when I became older did I start to understand more about what anxiety is and how to deal, breathing, exercise. So yeah, we are going to get into all that again. And I'm glad to be back at the Serenity Wellness Center. And I'm speaking to a different psychologist today. I am speaking to Doyin. Doyin, can you introduce yourself?
Hi everyone. Thank you for having me, Sima.
Yeah.
So my name is Olajorin. I am a psychologist at the Serenity Wellness Center, where we offer treatment for psychotherapy services as well as alternative therapies for the prevention of mental health disorders. Thank you for having
Awesome.
me.
Nice to have you here. I'm glad to have another like glasses wearer. I know it doesn't mean
I know,
anything, but like
right?
she's
Yeah,
looking beautiful
Thank
with
you
her
very
braids.
much.
Yeah, so let's discuss anxiety. Like what is anxiety all about, and what's the difference between having regular anxiety and an anxiety disorder?
Okay, great. In psychology, we use something called the Diagnostic Statistical Manual 5 when we are trying to diagnose a mental health condition. And according to the DSM-5, it describes anxiety as an excessive fear, excessive worry over a particular situation. So it's when the fear or the worry is not proportional to the situation at hand. That's putting it in very basic terminologies, right? And then to your second question as to how does it, how is it different from general anxiety? So as we go through life, of course, we have different situations that are anxiety triggering. We have stressors that would, of course, make us anxious about things. We have life situations, exams, achievement that we're trying to attain that would definitely, cause us to be anxious because it's
Even things with your career, things like that.
exactly. When something just has an authentic or certain outcome, it's very normal for us to be anxious about it because we're hopeful for the best. We don't want to be disappointed. Those are common and general anxiety, right? It's normal. It happens in your day to day. But when it starts to impact your everyday, your day to day ability to function, when it start leading to avoidance of situation, when you start feeling like you're beginning to have like physical symptoms like sweating, loss of breath, dizziness, and over a period of time. And then when you also can look at the situation and then look at your reaction and you realize that it's not proportional to your reaction is not proportional to the situation. Those are signs where you can start to look inward and try to think if you may have.
It's actually a serious case that you should do something
it
about
is a mental health condition.
Okay. You said that when there are certain situations where your reaction is not proportional to the situation environment, can you give me an example of what that would look like?
Okay, great. So I'm about to put myself on about to put myself on out there. So for instance, I have this interesting fear of chicken. Live chicken.
Really?
I cannot for the life of me. And people usually ask me, where does this fear stem from? Have the chicken bit you as a child or something like that? And I honestly do not remember. But I know that if I see a live chicken coming close to me, I would cry.
Okay.
I would, I would fidget so badly, and it's so terrible that even when maybe during Christmas people gift chicken to my family, I would not come out of the compound until the chicken is dead.
Wow.
And it's such a common thing. Everyone knows that I'm scared of chicken,
Wow.
and it's just not normal, right? But I don't know. I'm scared of chicken. That's it. Putting it out there.
And did you feel like there's anything you had to do about it, or you just felt like people know that okay, she's afraid of chicken, so you avoid it and things like that?
So I know that with some anxiety, it's very important to try to address the cause of anxiety and try to treat your phobias, right?
Yeah.
So there's certain things that you put yourself in and try to just walk around.
Yeah.
But for some reasons, I cannot even mentally prepare myself to put myself around a chicken to treat that phobia.
You're not ready to really confront it yet.
Because I am very sensitive to the amount of fear that I feel, like the loss of breath, the way that I feel like I'm going to faint if it comes close to me, and I don't want to actually test the reality of it by putting myself in a situation where I want to test the limit of my fear, right?
Okay.
And you need to be able to test that limit to be able to then know if it's something that you can. That's cold talky way of curing your anxiety.
All right. Thanks for sharing that.
Thank you.
And now I want to discuss some forms of anxiety, like maybe social anxiety disorder and other forms of anxiety, because I know that when I was younger, I used to feel like very anxious, but it just seemed like maybe it was part of my personality. I remember getting ready to like take an exam. I'd be like, I don't know, like before I enter the classroom, I just feel very, very nervous. Or even like when I was in university and people had to really just like drag me to go out. And even before I would go out, I would be so nervous. And then my roommates would be looking at me like, what's wrong with this girl? But I'm just like, I don't know. And I would remember being in certain social situations where people could tell I was very awkward. And sometimes I didn't know as I got older, I started to wonder, is that social anxiety disorder or is it just me being anxious and an introvert? Because I'm definitely an introvert and I always feel more happier alone and in quiet settings. Can we discuss like what is social anxiety disorder actually for some people who might be convinced that they might have it? Let's sort of figure out what it's all about.
Okay. So to back up a bit, there are different types of anxiety, right?
Okay.
We have the social anxiety disorder. We have the generalized anxiety disorder.
Okay.
We also have specific phobias. We have panic disorders, amongst other things. So they have different variations based on what cluster they fall under. Now, talking about social anxiety, this is an anxiety disorder where a person perpetually tries to avoid social situations. So they're scared of social situations for maybe fear of judgment, fear of embarrassing themselves. It just makes them overly conscious when they have to be around other people. And sometimes this is also as a result of traumas, right? This also can be as a result of experiences that you've had in the past, which is still traumas really. When you can associate being in a social situation with something bad happening, and then it starts to just make you overly conscious of being putting yourself back out there to experience such situations. So that's that's
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. And how can somebody sort of like cope and deal when they have anxiety?
Okay, well, there's so many ways to dealing with anxiety. One of it is to first understand your triggers. So that's why I mentioned the different types of anxiety that there are, right? You need to understand what kind of anxiety do you have. Is it a specific phobia that is pertaining a particular thing? Is it social anxiety that's pertaining like a social situation? Is it generalized anxiety that pertains to like your everyday life? You're just anxious about everyday life. All of those things will then determine the kind or the variation of treatment or approach that you're going to take. I would always first recommend seeking a professional's perspective on this, because we're in Nigeria a lot. We tend to diagnose ourselves for the things that we're not, right? So sometimes in seeking or in speaking to a professional, they can help you then identify if it's something to be worried about, or if it's just going through everyday life.
Okay.
I should also mention that sometimes anxieties can be triggered by traumas, so like
Wow.
loss of a loved one, maybe loss of a job. So anxiety as a result of how you're going to survive. That can lead to some generalized anxiety of you go through the everyday life. So understand this nature of the anxiety, what is causing it. And there's a common saying that when you know the root of a problem, it's like the beginning of helping you solve that problem, right? So in saying all of this, what I'm trying to say is once you speak to a professional, you also identify what kind of anxiety that you have, so that you can then start to look into ways you can help yourself. Another way that can help you is breathing exercise. You have to practice breathing exercise, take a deep breath, all of those things. Another way can be exposure therapy, where you expose yourself to the thing causing you anxiety, but you need a professional to do this for you. Like when I mentioned with the chicken situation, right? Some people can truly, when they are just exposed cold turkey way to the thing causing them anxiety, it can have such adverse effects. I feel like I can faint. I actually feel like I can faint if a chicken is brought close to me. So that's why I'm very careful.
We never take it to a farm.
No, please, I would not. I would be a mess. Even going to the market. It's just so that's why I know that it's even a cause for worry, because it impairs my like basic situations. Going to everyday market is a stressor for me, because I'm thinking, what if they have chicken lying around? I'd rather not go to the market. Right, things like that. So exposure therapy is very important, that you do exposure therapy with a specialist who can maybe help you come up with a strategy of the degrees to exposure over time, so that you're not putting yourself in harm's way just because we said face your fears, and then you just go right in front of the fears, and then you're having some adverse effects. Yes, those are some very common ways to deal with it. Practice breathing. Learn to take a deep breath when you feel yourself in an anxiety triggering situation. Just try to practice breathing exercise. Try to count backward. Those are some basic things that you can do for yourself, but in the long run, please speak to a professional about it.
Speak to a professional, practice breathing anxieties, exposure therapy. That's good. And specifically, I want to sort of like, because we are in Nigeria, and I feel like the elections, people might have had mixed reactions towards the elections, and we know the inauguration is coming up. And for some people who are actually based in Nigeria, who are feeling anxieties and worries about the way the country is going, and whether things are actually going to get better or not. Is there anything specifically that you can tell Nigerians who are just anxious about the condition in this country, which is unfortunately not the best right now? Do you think there's any way like Nigerian youths can sort of like ease their worries and stress, or maybe anger, frustration, whatever emotions that they might be feeling that might not be positive? How can they deal with that?
I think I would first advise people to take a deep breath. Yeah, let's learn to take a deep breath and analyze situations of things. Sometimes we might find that we are exaggerating in our reactions over a particular thing. So what I'm trying to say is, we are right to be concerned about our future as Nigerians. We're in our right to want the best for ourselves, but some of our reactions is exaggerating the situation of things. One of which is bullying your fellow persons because they're expressing their opinions. I get that we can be triggered by certain things or certain ways that people think, but it's not okay to bully another person, right? So when we properly analyze the situation of things, then let's also try to like have like a strategy or a pathway. For instance, if you're a young adult, some of the things you should be concerned about is your career path, all of those things. There are many different ways that you can find how you can survive despite the climate of Nigeria and what's happening in the economy and politically, right? So if we can focus on the things we can control rather than pay all the attention and all the worries on the things we cannot control, those are ways that you can reduce your anxiety. When you have a strategy in place on how to navigate a particular situation, you will find that you are not overly anxious about that situation because you have a strategy, you have a plan. And then we can just always hope for the best.
Yeah.
We can just always hope for the best. We're not going to get anything out of conflict or waging wars because we have different opinions. That's basically even being hypocrites to what we're fighting the leaders for. Really, if we as day to day people beside you, you cannot just even try to be your brother's keeper or try to be sensitive to what other people are going through, then you're an hypocrite for calling out your leaders, if I'm being honest. So we should continue to hold our leaders accountable, of course, but we should also be sensitive to other people's opinions and their views
and their own choices
and their
who they
choices,
voted for, things like that.
exactly. And then we should also have a plan. We should put a strategy in place. There's no point thinking gloom and doom, and if you think gloom and doom, you don't have a plan, then the gloom and doom is really gonna happen to you. I get that sometimes we have plans, we work towards it, and Nigeria can frustrate your plans, being sincere. But again, it's better than not having any plan at all, right? And I also always advocate for having multiple plans. So when you try planning and it doesn't work, please go plan B, plan C, and other plans. We as Nigerians have been told, or we've found that Nigerians are very adaptable to situations, and we have this high spirit of resilience. So let that work for you.
We do. Yeah.
So that's what I would say.
Awesome. Yeah, focus on what you control, because at the end of the day, when you watch the news, sometimes you wonder about situation in this country. But like she said, focus on what you can control and have different plans for how you want to, what you want to do with your future, what you want to do with your present moment is really very, very important. Thanks so much for that. And next, I wanted us to do like a breathing exercise. But before we get into that, is there any additional thing you want to say about mental health or anxiety that I might have missed? Is there something you feel that it's important?
Okay, I think I would like to also help do a clarification on the difference between introversion and social anxiety disorder.
Okay.
So most times when people are having social anxiety disorders, they say, "Oh, I'm just an introvert," and it's because I don't, a lot of those things. But there is a very huge disparity between these two things.
Okay.
So for social anxiety disorder, like I previously explained, is when you avoid social situations over a fear of what could happen or could not happen when you are in such social situations. Or people who are introverts, they avoid social situations and want to be by themselves because they enjoy it. So they're not avoiding social situations out of fear. They're just not wanting to be out in the public because they'd rather be in their personal space because they enjoy it. It just gives them relief. It's fun for them. That's the difference between introverts and people who have social anxiety disorder. Pretty much.
That's actually really helpful, because for introverts, like if you're like me, you're an introvert also, I think sometimes we are not really sure whether it's like social anxiety or just our personality, and sometimes just feeling like when there are less people, things can be more peaceful.
Right.
Sometimes that's just how I feel. But yeah, thank you for clarifying that. And now I wanted us to do just like a very short breathing exercise, because I was first here with Mental Health for Youth Initiative, and Doyin hosted this breathing exercise. And after it, I was just smiling. I was just like, oh, life is good. I'm relaxed. I'm peaceful. And I just wanted us to do that just for a few minutes. And I hope you will join me also.
Right. So we need to close our eyes and sit in a very comfortable position. A comfortable position can look like sitting down, laying down, or whatever you find comfortable. And we're going to go into the breathing exercise in 3, 2, 1.
Okay, the audio was a little bit low, so it didn't really pick up the sound. So if you are joining us for this breathing exercise, just close your eyes, take a deep breath, and allow yourself to feel that breath in every part of your body, from your head to your shoulders. Just get very relaxed. Take another very big deep breath. Allow yourself to feel it in your nose. Make sure that you are completely relaxed, even in your shoulders. Just feel calm and find your center. Make sure that every part of your body is feeling very relaxed. You can also remind yourself of a place where you find very peaceful, very calm, a place where you feel most yourself. Just take yourself to that place right now and just continue to breathe. Continue to keep your eyes closed. And also consider each and every aspect of your body, how you're feeling right now. If you are feeling any stress, if you are feeling any anxiety, simply allow that stress, simply allow that anxiety to go, and just allow yourself to feel peaceful. Allow yourself to feel calm. Continue to close your eyes. Continue to take breaths in and out. Once again, continue to breathe in and out. Remind yourself of a place where you feel most calm, most at home, and most yourself. You would soon be coming out of this breathing exercise, and that is it. You can also look up videos on breathing exercises.
Awesome. I feel great. Thanks for joining me in that breathing exercise. I hope you enjoy watching this video. And yeah, just continue to breathe. Speak to a mental health professional if you really feel as though you need to get more resources on how to deal with anxiety. And yeah, I'm wishing you just wellness and peace of mind. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you too.
Bye.